RCWR show. Lee Sanders here. We are dropping Monday night of May the 4th, 2020. Welcome everybody. We definitely are going to be talking about just some key points from Monday's WWE Raw. Also do a preview for this Money in the Bank card. I don't think we are going to be getting any surprises at this point. Normally, I do like to wait later on in the week, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, to go over the entire pay-per-view card, because WWE is going to be coming at us this weekend with Money in the Bank 2020 coming to us from the WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. But hey, we are going to be able to talk about Money in the Bank. So we got that. We also got Michael Jordan's The Last Dance, episodes 5 and 6 had dropped this past weekend. Looking forward to talking about that later on in the show. So a lot of cool stuff we're going to be able to get into on this episode. But before I go any further into the show, I want to just make sure that everything is good, because I'm testing out some new software. It's a companion piece to what I'm doing normally, but we're streaming right now on multiple platforms. I am streaming on Twitch right now. We're also streaming on Facebook. We're also streaming on YouTube. And I think by next week, we're also going to be streaming on Mixer as well, because I've already got an account set up with Mixer, but it looks like I had to go through something new with the guys, something involving going through some weird steps. It looked like they had me go through some tutorial, and then I had to request a stream key, and so basically, long story short, we're gonna have Mixer thrown into the mix when we're simulcasting everywhere by next week. So I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be pretty awesome. Can't wait. But what I want to make sure is set up properly. I want to make sure that as far as interacting, that's gonna be pretty awesome. Wait a minute. Can't wait. Got a little bit of an echo there. Sorry about that. What I want to make sure is actually on point is the way I'm seeing you guys interact with me, because I have a universal chat that's supposed to just fuse everything together so that I'm able to see what everybody is saying here. So let me just make sure that's actually launched here. Let me try this here. I think we're good to go, but let me just make sure. See, please close this window, return, try again in a few. Okay, so I don't have my chat just yet. Let me try it one more time. Let me try it one more time. Hang on a second here, guys. Just want to refresh this and see if we're going to be good here. Hang on. Sometimes refreshing will do the trick. And let's try this. See if that might work here. Try again. Okay, well, let's dismiss that. Alright, so we'll try it again in a couple of minutes, but I actually might be able to see what everybody is saying in the chat. But what I'll do, just to make sure I'm a little bit okay here, I'm going to actually launch this other chat here. Hang on, guys. Got to make sure this is on point. So we're working out the kinks. Don't worry. By the next episode, I'm going to have all of this nice and straightened out. Okay, and I'm going to say that's going to be good. Okay, so that should do it. That should do it. All right, cool. All right, so we'll see what happens. Just quietly in the background, let me know if you are experiencing any type of audio problems, any type of lagging or whatever. I don't think you guys will, but if there's any type of weirdness going on, just let me know, and I'll try to do my best to interact with everybody as I'm seeing the comments coming in here. All right, so Raw this week, I gotta say, I'm actually looking more forward to Raw for next week, because Randy Orton and Edge are both returning to next week's Raw, and this is officially the first time that we're seeing both of these men return since their WrestleMania match. So I'm very, very curious what's next in that respected chapter. I'm looking forward to that. Also, in the house next week is going to be Becky Lynch. But this week was all about trying to set the tone for this Sunday's Money in the Bank. I love and appreciate the fact that we had a countdown for the biggest moments in Money in the Bank history. And by now, come on, you guys can't be a stranger to the WWE product. You know, whenever it comes to these Money in the Bank pay-per-views, you know, normally we get some type of a really cool countdown, and you know, we get to see all of the usual suspects and everything. But I gotta tell you, one of the moments that they had showed was from 2019 when it was Finn Balor that was feuding with Andrade on top of the ladder. That was a nice little spot that they had went to right there. I had enjoyed that. But I gotta give WWE a little bit of credit because it seemed as though they were trying to go a little bit more in recent memory, although you still saw the usual suspects from the previous years when they were doing their countdown list. And I'll have to flip it to you guys with regards to the countdown list that they did tonight. Did they start at 10 or did they start at 5? Because by the time I was paying attention to it, I saw that it was on number 5. So if it was a case where they actually had started at number 10, I mean, I didn't know anything about it, because I got to tell you, I was going through the motions tonight for this show, because other than Samoa Joe, once again, he returned last week. We gave him a lot of praise on this show last week, by the way. He was definitely on another, just killing it tonight. I felt wasn't as amplified as it was last week, wasn't quite as far as up to par with what we saw of him the first go round that he was on commentating. Not quite at those levels that we remember it, but it was still a welcome breath of fresh air. So Samoa Joe back at it, loved it. For those of you that may be a little bit curious, no Jerry Lawler. No, at least as far as I could tell for this episode. If he popped up anywhere on the segment, I wouldn't know anything about it, but there was no Jerry Lawler on this episode tonight. So, and remember, I know that was kind of a popular topic that was brought up on last week's show. There was a whole lot of speculation what was going on with the King, and remember what we had talked about from last week's show, which you can go back and check out. I said, that's his story to tell. If there's something that he needs to bring to the attention of not just his fans, but fans of the WWE product, then if there's something he needs to get off his chest, he does podcasting just like everybody else, just like Bruce Pritchard, Bischoff, Arn Anderson, everybody. Then he'll say what he needs to say on his show. But if you've been paying attention to the wrestling headlines, you know, past couple of days going into the weekends, nothing so far with regards to Jerry the King Lawler. But I would like to believe, honestly, when it comes to the pay-per-view coming up, and here's the other thing, when is that pay-per-view going to be taped, or has the pay-per-view already been taped? That's the other thing that we kind of have to say to ourselves. But other than the top countdown moments there that they had for previous Money in the Bank events, tonight was just somewhat of a so-so episode. I know we had that one match there with, okay, let's go with a bang, right? Let's go with the strong, good shit, and then we'll just kind of, like a good, strong liquor. You know, you keep adding water or whatever, it just gets pretty weak, right? It's not as potent as it was when you first had it just there, raw, you know, nice, good, rich ingredients, get your buzz on and everything. Let's go in strong. So AJ Styles making his triumphant return. We hadn't seen him since his Boneyard match, Buried Alive match with The Undertaker. Great seeing him back. You know, one of the questions that I had brought up, if you guys recall, on the WrestleMania post show was, when AJ does return, you know, what's going to happen with him exactly? And I threw a couple of ideas out there. One of the ideas that I put out there with regards to AJ, I said, you could have him come back and essentially, and this was before they did the massive firings or furloughs, I said, you could just have him come back. He doesn't remember the match with Undertaker. You know, last thing he pretty much remembers is, and you could have just done that any way you want to do that. Whether it's, hey, the last thing I remember was me versus Brock Lesnar. Like, wait, huh? Say, you know how long ago that was? Say what? You could have done something of that nature, or just have him wake up in a hospital, or however you wanted to do it. But if you wanted to tweak his character a little bit, if you wanted to maybe have him go in a babyface direction, whatever you wanted to do with him, if you wanted to do a nice reset with AJ, this was your opportunity to do it. But that's not what they did with AJ. AJ pretty much picking up right where he left off from that match with The Undertaker. He actually had participated in the Last Chance Opportunity Money in the Bank gauntlet match that we got tonight. And your participants for that one, we saw Bobby Lashley, Titus O'Neil, Akira Tozawa, Shelton Benjamin, Humberto Carrillo, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory. And so basically the way that this started off, it was one-on-one. That's basically how it started off. And the way things began, it opened up with Lashley, and Titus O'Neil. I apologize, folks. Titus O'Neil was actually in there as well. Started off with Bobby Lashley and Titus O'Neil. And of course, I gotta go silly there. I gotta go stupid there for a minute. Man, why it gotta be black on black, man? Can't we all just get along? Why people gotta be fighting and killing each other, man? I don't understand this, man. Brothers and sisters, come on, man. What's going on? But Lashley pretty much making quick work of Titus O'Neil, eliminating him. Akira Tozawa comes out, pretty much eats a spear from Lashley. Tozawa eliminated. Shelton Benjamin comes out, pretty much rinse, repeat. Shelton Benjamin gets eliminated. Humberto Carrillo comes out. Now at this point, Lashley gets himself disqualified because while he was putting a hurting on Humberto, he was getting a little bit too caught up in the moment. You could say he was getting lost in the moment. And the referee was coming in there trying to check on Humberto. Lashley really wasn't trying to have any of it. Cut to the chase. He pushed the ref. I mean, my God, it wasn't like a Earl Hebner shove. We've seen Earl Hebner over the years. He's gotten some pretty bad shoves. He's gotten those type of shoves where he's like the Shawn Michaels of getting bumps. You know, it wasn't anything of that magnitude, but it was basically enough for the ref to say, hey, you're not going to be pushing me around like that. You know, I'm going to disqualify you. As a matter of fact, yeah, you know what? That's it. You're done. You're disqualified. We're going to get you out of here. You know, you're done. So you're going, oh, well, that's just lovely. So that's pretty much it for our boy. Okay, so Lashley eliminated. And remember some of the ideas that we were playing around with off and on over the weeks? We were toying around with the ideas that maybe Lana would cost him a key important matchup. Remember, I was putting those ideas out there. And sure enough, Lana, not the person to be blaming for this one because she was nowhere at ringside for all of this. So Lashley had nobody else to blame except himself for this. So he's DQ'd. He's out of there. Does continue to put a couple of more hurtings there on Humberto out of anger as more refs come from the back, tell him he's got to clear the ring and everything. This pretty much sets up Angel Garza to come up. And you would have thought that Angel Garza, man, this is scraps. Scraps. It's easy. It's too easy. I got this. Angel Garza ends up getting eliminated. Next is Austin Theory. Austin Theory comes on out there next. And from there, we had an interesting commercial break as we saw just randomly AJ Styles Dairy Queen commercial. So, yeah, if you're kind of putting two and two together, why are we getting AJ Styles in the Dairy Queen commercial when we haven't seen this guy in weeks since? I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I saw that AJ Styles Dairy Queen commercial, I couldn't help but say to myself, I think WWE just fucked up the surprise return here. This AJ Styles Dairy Queen commercial should have been slated for after we see AJ return. And hey, if he wins the whole thing, that's great and everything. But when you go into your next commercial break, after AJ appears, then you can go on ahead and do your AJ Styles Dairy Queen commercial. Makes a lot of sense. That's not what they did here tonight, which was really silly. A lot of foreshadowing going on here when it's all said and done, if you're kind of into those conspiracy theory type of things. But I tell you what, if you did double down on that and say, you know what, AJ must be returning tonight, maybe in this match, pat yourselves on the back. Don't you wish you would have bet a couple of dollars against somebody? But anyway, Austin Theory comes out next. So Angel Garza, yeah, we told you he got eliminated by Humberto. So Humberto is now facing Austin Theory. See, Humberto gets another upset there. So Theory gets eliminated. And then the last guy to come out, it's pretty much AJ Styles. And pretty much from there, AJ Styles, talk about a guy really picking up the scraps. He pretty much gets the job done with the calf crusher. Picks up the W. Kind of boring. Kind of, what's my motivation here for watching this? You know, you're kind of saying to yourself, oh, well, it's Money in the Bank here. This is about one of the spots going into Money in the Bank. Surely I can get, but even at that, it just, I got to tell you, the first 25-30 minutes of this show, this was another case where you were just going through the motions and you just felt like boredom. I gotta be honest, it just felt like super fucking boredom here with this one. I hate saying that. I really, really do hate saying that. But for me, the one thing that did put a smile on my face was seeing AJ Styles return, because I gotta tell you, after WrestleMania, with all your, you can't even really say main eventers, because not for nothing, we didn't have Roman Reigns. Right? We didn't have Roman Reigns, but to see a guy like AJ Styles back into the fold of things, at least for the Raw flagship show, I'll take it. That's actually, not for nothing, but when I think of Raw, he's one of those guys that, okay, let's see what he's doing. I'll always stop what I'm doing to see what he's doing. Over on SmackDown these days, Daniel Bryan. He has me motivated. I like seeing what's going on with Daniel Bryan. Becoming a big fan of Drew Gulak. Like seeing what's going on with Drew Gulak. The Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville angle, that kind of has me a little bit, okay, you kind of have my attention right now. But, when you look at both shows, there's really not that much out there that you can sink your teeth into, sadly. I know you guys feel where I'm coming from. I'm sure some of you guys would agree with that, but you know what? Some of you other cats may disagree with that, but that's just where I'm coming from with that one. Let's see. Also, so other than AJ Styles returning tonight, we also had a really good match. For what it was worth, it was a good match. I'm still not quite sure where things are going, because it still feels as if we're on a honeymoon period here with Liv Morgan. But the Liv Morgan match against Charlotte Flair, it was, for what it was worth, I can't deny that was actually a good match. See, here's the problem that I have with that match. I know we're trying to do what we can, if you're WWE, with the cards that's in your hands, right? What you've been dealt with. Under the circumstances and everything, you got to work with what you got. But for me to be in this position where I'm supposed to, oh man, Liv Morgan, oh man, she's going to be able to hang with fucking Charlotte Flair. Oh man. And look, on the one hand, I appreciate the fact that WWE did not Hang on a second here. Hang on a second here. Hang on here. I don't know what the hell that's about. I'm seeing what you guys are saying in the chat, so that's why I'm kind of going I'm actually seeing what some of you guys are saying in the chat, but I'm still trying to sync up the chat. So that's why I got a little bit of a brain fart right now, because we're streaming on multiple platforms. We're streaming on right now. We're streaming on Twitch. We're streaming on Facebook. We're streaming on YouTube. I think that's all the places we're streaming for tonight. Next week we're going to be streaming on Mixer as well. But one thing that I'm having a hard time looking at, so I'm kind of going in manually, popping my head in different chat rooms. My universal chat, where I should be able to see everything with my unified chat. My unified chat is not popping up, sadly, which is kind of weird. But yeah, you know, it is what it is. But I am seeing what you guys are saying in the chat. So if there's something that's kind of that I want to respond to, I'll definitely respond to you guys. But Liv Morgan, with me, Liv Morgan, I mean, man, I get that we're trying to put her in this new position of, well, this is a all new, this is a all different, you know, more hungrier, more determined Liv Morgan. I get that. I get that. But man, we're just gonna shoot her right there with Charlotte. I mean, on the one hand, before I can even really take a massive shit on this, on the one hand, I can be reserved and look at this and say, well, you know, I can commend WWE for at least trying to do their best and trying to create new stars here. And, you know, they understand that there is that core base of WWE fans that, oh man, why is this person once again being shoved down our throats? Man, can't we kind of, you know, do something new here and everything? And as you've heard me say on the show many times over the years, the chase is better than the catch. Okay, well, with regards to Liv Morgan, how are we just going to hot shoot her, you know, right up there with Charlotte Flair and basically say, this girl can hang with Charlotte Flair? That for me, you know, what would have made a little bit more sense is if, just pretend for a second we're not doing the whole separate brand shit or whatever, and we're just strictly trying to look at feuds for Liv Morgan, and one of the end games is we're going to have Liv Morgan ultimately face off against Charlotte Flair. Now, let's say Charlotte Flair has held that NXT championship for a good handful of months. Let's say 4, maybe 5 months tops. And in the process of that, with this new and improved Liv Morgan, again, don't think about brand separation. Let's just combine them, and let's just say Liv has just been going through some interesting programs with folks. Everything culminates in her feuding with Charlotte. Okay, maybe eventually you have her feud with Naomi. Throw in Zelina Vega. You can have her feud with also Asuka, Kairi Sane. You get where I'm going with this? You know, build up the cachet there. You know, especially with some of those girls that you can have her face in programs, and then the bragging, well, hey, you know, not for nothing, but the person that she just defeated, you know, at one point they were a blah 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 champion. I'm not saying anything different, rather than, if you remember, I think it was from last week or a couple of weeks ago, where you had, who was it? I think it was, who was it that had defeated MVP? I think it was Apollo Crews, was it? Yeah, Apollo Crews. And he defeated MVP. And you had the commentators that were saying, this is, since Apollo Crews has been on the main roster to date, this is one of the biggest wins in his career, because he's defeated a a decorated champion here in MVP. And you're going, okay. So I'm not saying anything different than, okay, what applied there, take that same formula and apply it over here. So, the thing that they're doing with Liv Morgan, I can appreciate what they're doing, but it's hot shotting right now. I got to call it how I see it. It's basically hot shotting. And I'm not really a big fan of that. But I cannot deny that the match that they had set up tonight was pretty good. It was. I don't think it should have went as long as it did. To be perfectly honest, I think they should have trimmed about maybe, I won't say 10 minutes, but maybe they should have trimmed about definitely five plus minutes off of that match. But Charlotte, just barely escaping there with the W. Now, the way you could kind of spin that match is maybe you could kind of look at that and say, well, Charlotte kind of took Liv Morgan for granted there. She overestimated her opponent, and that's why she essentially almost got her ass handed to her. But now that she's had this match against Liv, she essentially is not going to make the same mistake again. Now that she's faced her, she's kind of got her well scouted now, and she's going to be better prepared next time she faces her down the road or whatever. But one thing we got to keep in mind, Io Shirai, Charlotte Flair this Wednesday on NXT. They're going to have that match there for the NXT Women's Championship. That's going to be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to that. And we will be live Wednesday nights. Remember, we're coming on, per you guys saying, hey, yeah, we're actually okay with it. No problem. Our new time is 11 p.m. Again, 11 p.m. We're coming on live. So that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we'll be talking about AEW as well. Also want to show some love to Impact Wrestling. Been a good minute since I had saw what was going on with them. I did check out night 1 of the Rebellion pay-per-view event, because they did a 2-night event that basically was showing on, where are they now? Access TV. Yeah, they're on Access TV now. So I did check that out. We also got some MLW news. You know how we do it on the Wednesday night show. So I know last time we did an hour show last Wednesday, and we're back to business as usual. So no short show for that respective week. See some other action that we had got tonight. Just quickly running down the card, because there's really not much. Oh, one thing I do want to touch upon with Liv Morgan. A little promo that she had before the match with Charlotte, that was kind of cute and everything, kind of continuing to flush out the Liv Morgan character and everything. But I'm just not. I gotta bring up the point again, which is, once we're back to business, you see these states, they are, hey, yeah, we can do this in this phase, then we're gonna roll out this phase. And for some events or, arena events, they're basically saying, okay, yeah, we can do this, but, we got to reduce the capacity at that arena by 25%, basically. And what I can't help but wonder is, if we're feeling the way that we're feeling about certain superstars on the roster in an empty arena, you can only help but wonder, okay, once the fans are back, how's that going to be? How is that going to be exactly? And I'm just not that convinced. Again, we had a little bit of an idea right before all this craziness went down. We had a bit of an idea how the WWE crowd was feeling towards people like Liv, Sarah, Ruby, and I love me some Ruby, but it wasn't that kind, lackluster to say the least. So with regards to Liv Morgan, if you would ask me straight up, Lee, do you see more stock in her than Sarah Logan? Yeah, I do. Not by much. But I just can't help but wonder, man. Are we looking at somebody that could eventually be future endeavored. I mean, she's got a great look. There's no doubt about that. Pretty decent in the ring, but I mean, besides those two things, I mean, is that really enough to even try to justify? In my estimation, no, sadly, but I hope I'm proven wrong in this next little bit. I see a little bit of potential, but and it's not a case where I'm being hasty about just give her the axe, or that's not it whatsoever. I mean, look, not for nothing, has she really had an opportunity to really shine since being on the main roster? No. So there is that part of me that is still okay, but gut instincts, 2 cents from a distance, first impressions, it's off to a rocky start right now, and I really hope that things can pick up rather soon, rather than later and before it's too late, basically. See some other stuff here tonight. See what else can we get into here? I'm just looking at the rest of the matches here, just trying to see if there's anything else that went down here. Drew McIntyre defeating Buddy Murphy. It's pretty okay ending right there. It's actually a decent match right there. McIntyre celebrating. Seth Rollins is actually looking on. Nice little exchange there that he had there with Seth Rollins, wanting to get a piece of Rollins. Rollins not wanting to have anything to do with him. Come from behind though. Cheap shots him. Matter of fact, didn't he super kick the shit out of McIntyre? If I remember right, he super kicked the shit out of him. Tried to go for the curb stomp, but missed it because Drew countered, and Drew was trying to look for the Claymore kick. Rollins escaped that barely, just barely, setting up their eventual matchup that's going to be going down at the pay-per-view for the title. Gotta say, I'm looking forward to the match. I mean, consistent with this, McIntyre, I won't say he needs this match, but as far as out of the gate, post WrestleMania, and really trying to do the honors, and hey, this guy, yeah, man, he's the shit. He kind of needs this match against Rollins. It's going to be an entertaining matchup. I don't really think that's going to be an issue. I don't think any of us have a problem with this matchup per se. I think if anything, we just kind of, if you're kind of like me at least, you kind of want McIntyre to separate from Rollins as quickly as possible without his stock going down per se. But then you can't help but go, well, to be reminiscent a little bit, reflective a little bit on what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, what other main antagonists do you have on Raw right now? And other than Seth Rollins, you do have AJ Styles. Okay, and then other than AJ Styles, where's your other main antagonist? Who are you gonna dust off? So that's kind of the problem that we have right now, just on the Raw side of things. So I get you guys that maybe you're not really feeling this feud, but it's gonna be an entertaining matchup, but you're just not feeling the feud. But with the way things are right now, WWE's got to work with, what they got. Sucks, I know, but, it is what it is. See, some other action here. See, just going through the rest of the matches here one more time here. Just trying to see if there's anything else I had missed. You know what? The tag match that the Viking Raiders had against the Street Profits, Viking Raiders picking up the W, actually was pretty good. Pretty good matchup. Gotta give him credit for that one. That was good. Brendan Vink and Shane Thorne taking on Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. That was so-so. Yeah, it was so-so. Really though, not much else about Raw. That was very passe. I gotta tell you, very passe was this episode. If you didn't really feel like watching it tonight, just based on what you've been seeing so far these past couple of weeks from the WWE, you really didn't miss that much. Like I said at the top, next week's show is where it's really going to be interesting, because we've got Edge and we've got Randy Orton returning. Becky Lynch is going to be back as well. That should be, pretty good. The VIP lounge that opened up tonight, my God, once again, we opened up with the VIP lounge. Once again, we opened up with MVP. I will give WWE some props this go round. They didn't have MVP compared to last week. They did not have MVP out there talking as long as he did from last week. So I'll definitely give them props for that. They at least they did shorten the hell out of that, and they basically had him trying to interview the Money in the Bank women. And the Money in the Bank women that had consisted of Asuka, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler. All that was pretty hilarious because you want to talk about the MVP and the VIP lounge, but the real VIP here was Asuka once again, just freaking talking her rhetoric in her Japanese language and everything. It's taking a massive shit on Nia. The only thing you understood from Asuka was her calling Nia Jax big butt. She said that a couple of times, big butt. And you just see Nia Jax look on like, the fuck is this woman saying? Trash talking to freaking Shayna next. All that was, was pretty cool. Asuka also had name dropped Kari before going in on Nia and everything. But yeah, called her big booty. I love that. Called her big booty. Other than that, that pretty much was it. It was just a lot of talking shit. Nothing really went down. MVP kind of held the women back, because it looked like a brawl was about to break out or whatever. But I mean, that really was it when it was all said and done. So that was pretty good though. And don't worry, we're gonna go over the Money in the Bank card that's gonna be happening for this Sunday. We'll preview it. I'll offer some picks as far as what I think might be going down this weekend and everything. But we did poll you guys. We got a poll on Twitter, and we got a poll Twitter and YouTube asking you guys, what did you think about tonight's WWE Raw? And I'm actually going to take a look right now and see what you guys have to say about that. And bear with me a second here. I'm just testing out the other streams. I'm seeing how you guys are doing. See, I love comments like this because this is what I don't understand. To Jason via Facebook, AEW does it so better. It's, I like to just kind of judge these shows by these promotions just as it is without comparing, because I really do hate comparing. I really do. I try not to do it. I really try not to. The closest I will come to comparing is, and I think this is the best advice I can give to anybody. We're talking about Monday Night Raw, which is and has been a flagship show for almost 3 decades, basically, right? So that show, no matter what, has it gone through its ups? Has it gone through its downs? Yes, without a shadow of doubt. It's gone through so much. And the same thing could essentially be said for SmackDown as well. But when I look at AEW, I mean, not for nothing, not everything that AEW does is peaches and cream. I think anybody that is truly unbiased when it comes to their wrestling will admit that those first handful of months for AEW was pretty damn rocky, and you're kind of scratching your head, pulling your ear like freaking Carol Burnett going, what the hell is AEW doing over here? And honestly, once the new calendar year of 2020 kicked in, it was as if AEW said, okay, we're going to take everything that went down from when we launched in October and, all right, well, challenge, we're going to put on a better product. And have they been putting on a better product for the most part? Yeah, they have. They've been putting on a better product for the most part. But they still have a few areas where there's no such thing as a perfect promotion and everything. But the closest you'll hear me come close to comparisons is Wednesday nights when NXT and AEW is on, and essentially they're going head to head. Now, I don't look at it as a war. I don't look at it, unlike some people, I don't look at it as a war, but I do look at it from the standpoint of, okay, you're that viewer. These guys are trying to get you for that 8 to 10 o'clock block, but these other people over here are trying to get you for that 8 to 10 o'clock block. And I do like Wednesday nights as far as, okay, who kind of had the better product in this respected time slot, and why, what was the good, what was the bad. To try to compare one show from AEW Dynamite to Raw, or that's just because that's a 3-hour program that we're talking about when it's all said. I'm not making an excuse. I'm giving it to you raw. No pun intended. I'm giving it to you straight up. I wouldn't even compare AEW to SmackDown. I wouldn't even compare it to SmackDown. I would just, as far as AEW goes, I'm just looking at it. I'm trying to take it at face value. And the fact that NXT happens to come on at the same time and the same night as NXT, it's okay. Well, let's see what both of these shows are doing. But I'm like this. If you're not feeling what's currently going on with the WWE product, I really hope that as wrestling fans, you guys are doing your part and branching out, and it's not just a case where you're going WWE and AEW. I really hope that, especially if you truly are a wrestling fan, I really hope that you guys are seeing what the other promotions are doing out there. Even if some of those promotions aren't putting out new episodes right now, I would like to hope that you at least have your DVR set to record reruns and all of that, and you're catching up right now on some of the stuff that maybe you've been missing from some of those other promotions like MLW, Ring of Honor. Right now, they've been doing a really good job these past several weeks talking to different ROH stars, and there was one where they were talking with Jay Lethal, and they were going over some of his favorite feuds in ROH, and that was nice walking down memory lane on that one. And it just past several weeks, they've just been doing highlights, a lot of highlights and stuff like that. But hopefully you're using this opportunity to branch out and see what other promotions are out there and what all they are doing. That way, if you come across a situation where, hey man, not everything is cracked up to be with so-and-so. Okay, well, you know what? No problem. I got, and most importantly, as I've always said, and I've been saying it on the show for years now, support your local indie promotion. I can't stress that enough. Support your local indie wrestling promotion, because a lot of the cats that eventually you're going to be seeing, go to some of the bigger guys that's out there, the bigger shows, the bigger promotions. And a lot of these guys are coming from promotions out of your own backwoods there, from your own backyard. So when you get the opportunity, definitely support your local indie promotion fed as well. But yeah. So I want to give a shout out to our Patreon members, patreon.com/RCWR show. Check out bonus audio, video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. Shout out to Patreon members, John Krauser, Sean Kenter, Michael Wolf, John Davis. Also special shout out to Tony Bing Gaming. You want the very latest in all things Marvel Super War, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, and Marvel Strike Force. Tony Bing Gaming. Check him out. He's got tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, reviews. He is the man. Tony Bing Gaming, great YouTube channel, and he's got a Patreon paywall as well. Also, while you're at it, check out my man Rob Feinstein from RF Video at least 3, maybe even 4 times a week on his Facebook page. He is doing some really cool kick-ass live auctions. And he's doing his very best. I mean, it's not just a case where he's just offering straight up 8x10s. He is offering hard to find wrestling pop figures, since that's the biggest craze that's going on now for a lot of people, is the pop wrestling figures. He's selling those. What else? He's got magazines, toys, box toys, box toys, unboxed toys. I mean, he's just doing a little bit of any and everything, but it's really fucking cool. I love the way that he has his stream set up. Love how he interacts with everybody, makes everybody feel pretty damn good. And it's a, you see the usual folks that's on there when they're participating in some of these live auctions and everything. As a matter of fact, I think I'll be uploading it tomorrow, but there's actually a unboxing that I'm gonna be doing. It's gonna be pre-recorded, but I'm gonna put it up in the next day or so. But there's a unboxing I'm gonna be doing of some really cool 8x10s that I was able to obtain. I got like, I think 8 or 9 that I'm gonna be showing off, and it's freaking badass. And I gotta tell you, we'll talk about it a lot more later, but with regards to Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, I gotta tell you, man, watching The Last Dance documentary, it has made me want to relive my childhood, especially from my times living in Chicago, and it just makes me want to go on a Michael Jordan treasure hunt. Because at one point I used to have the cards, I used to have the posters. I definitely had a few pair of Air Jordans. It definitely, you know, I was actually, right after episodes 5 and 6, I actually was on eBay and a couple other sites, and I was just looking up, you know, different things, and I saw really cool stuff that was, this looks, but I wasn't quite sure about the autograph and everything, and I said, maybe I'll come back to that later, you know. And then some of the stuff that I was looking at wasn't really too sure about. Came back just out of curiosity a couple of hours later, saw that it disappeared, or if I woke up the next day, saw that it was gone. It was like, wow, you know, crazy. But yeah, so I'm definitely interested in starting up my Michael Jordan collection again, I gotta say. So I don't know where I'm going to begin. I don't know if I'm going to start with an autograph. I don't know if I'm going to start with a poster. I don't know if it's maybe going to start with a pair of Air Jordans. I don't know where I'm going to start, but I do know I'm going to start that collection up again. Just some of the stuff that I've been going down memory lane thinking about that I originally had as a kid in Chicago, growing up on Jordan and the Bulls. You know, just really cool, awesome shit. We'll talk a lot more about The Last Dance in a hot minute. But for now, let's keep on going. I think next what we can do is stay with some more little wrestling tidbits for the next little bit. Okay, so one thing that I did not get a chance to comment on since last we were on the air, Dutch Mantel. Got a lot of respect for Dutch Mantel and everything he's done for the business. But Dutch Mantel had put out this report. And this report was, you know, it was the way he acted with this report. It was almost as if he was breaking out some exclusive news, some firsthand news that he was able to obtain and nobody else. And, you know, hey, you know, this is some big breaking shit right here, you know, and basically based on the information that he had obtained, WWE supposedly is in the talks to sell. So Vince McMahon and crew, they're in talks to sell the WWE to ESPN and Fox. You know, and so, you know, when you hear that, you're going, wait, say what? And I can just imagine all the dirt sheets, all the freaking dirt sheets that were just running with this as if it's actual news, when you don't have anything that is truly definitive and letting you know that, oh yeah, hey, without a shadow of doubt, yeah, this is what's going to be going down. Yep. And the way Dutch Mantel, had broke this news, it was, hey, this is pretty much going to be happening. It could be, any day now. It could be happening before the month is out. It could be happening, within the next, 2-3 months, whatever. And, to be exact, mid-May. That's what he said. Mid-May, WWE could be sold. That it's on the verge of being sold. And, just when you really take a step back, one thing that the McMahon family, and I know this just from all the news gathering that I've done over the years, we've been at this since 2011, the question has always come up about whether WWE is up for sale, and Vince McMahon has always put out the same kind of statement. Stephanie, Triple H, all of them, they've always put out the same generic statement, which is, hey, we're always open to negotiate. We're always open to hear from anybody that may be interested in doing business with us, maybe interested in buying the company. We're always interested in sitting down and talking numbers. We wouldn't turn anybody away. We always are willing to listen. So for me, what this really boils down to is, okay, so this mid-May thing, could WWE actually be acquired by ESPN and or Fox? And I'm just not seeing that right now. I'm not seeing it for the simple fact of these respected reasons. Number one, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Whatever the hell you want to call it, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So, if you just stop and think for a minute here. Just use straight up good common sense for a second. So, if Vince McMahon was struggling to break even with the XFL, and we see how the XFL essentially ended, we've been talking about it over the course of the past couple of weeks. It's well documented on the shows already, so we don't need to rehash that. But if we see how things fared for the XFL, Vince filing for bankruptcy and all that, that's pretty rough. All right, so filing the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, got this lawsuit going on with the former commissioner and everything. All right, not good. If you were interested in selling your business, you're not going to do it during the middle of a pandemic. Because when it's all said and done, you're essentially cheating yourself out of the maximum amount of capital that you would be able to obtain for it. You feel where I'm coming from? So for example, and this isn't long or drawn out. I don't know how many of you guys are fans of Eva Longoria, but Eva Longoria, she had made headlines over the weekend, or right before the weekend, because there was a home that she had bought, I want to say in Malibu, California. There was a home she bought, and it was estimated to be worth $14.5 million. So you go, okay, 14.5. Okay, cool. Now, would Eva be able to get that in the middle of a pandemic? Most likely not. So Eva has some decisions to make. Okay, so do I sit on this house? Do I, do I try to weather out this storm that's going on here with this pandemic? And basically, once it's over, let's be honest, I'm probably going to have to prepare myself to still be attached to this home for at least 5, maybe 6 months, right when the economy is good, everybody is back to work, everything is back to business as usual. Will I maybe then be able to get as close to that 14.5 million? Or I'm really stuck with this house. I don't really think I want to be done with this house as of yesterday. I may just have to go on ahead and cut my losses. Maybe I just need to, make whatever money I can make off of this house and just keep it moving along. Yeah, I'm gonna take a hit, but hey, I'll no longer have this house. That's the important thing. I don't have to worry about the taxes and all this other shit. I'm just done. So even Lagoria's house, 14.5 million, what she paid for it and everything. Homegirl sold the house for a measly 5 million. 5 million. More than 50%. Okay, that's a lot more than 50%. Okay, so, if you're WWE and, you are interested in hearing negotiations and everything like that, why would you, in the middle of a pandemic, why would you sell the company? Not to mention, that makes Vince McMahon and crew look very scared. That makes them come off very, kind of desperate, kind of, way to set a sense of not just urgency, but way to make the entire fans of pro wrestling and wrestling insiders and everybody just go, what the fuck is going on with WWE? Goddamn, hard times. What the hell? So I'm not seeing WWE selling under these circumstances. With the pandemic and everything that's going on, I'm not seeing them selling in mid-May. I'm just not seeing that. Now the last thing, you want to talk WWE, the last thing that was being discussed was WWE and ESPN maybe working out some type of a deal where WWE would basically give ESPN the green light to show pay-per-views on their ESPN Plus thing and everything, exclusive content and all that, and that's definitely going to come to fruition. And then, not for nothing, but with what all they've been doing on FS1 as well, I can definitely see them going with both networks and doing some type of exclusive content. You know what it reminds me of? It's almost reminiscent of back in the cable satellite provider days, and WWE, they would have exclusive shows like Legends of the Round Table. If you guys recall, that was exclusive to, God, I can't even remember who the cable provider was originally, but I remember that was exclusive to just, said cable provider. And if you didn't have that cable provider, then you pretty much were screwed. They would do exclusive stuff with DirecTV, Verizon, Comcast back in the day. There was a whole bunch of exclusive shit that they used to do. Now I could see in this new day and age, with ESPN Plus and, the FS1 app or Fox app, I could see a whole lot of cool shit that WWE would be able to ink out and do with these respected networks, without throwing up a nose and giving the middle finger to the fans that are continuing to pay for the WWE network, and or because they're still out there, for some reason they're not getting the network, but they're willing to drop that $40, $50, $60 through cable, satellite, or even on Fight TV for a pay-per-view. So you kind of look at all of those things and you go, okay, well, make the best out of the situation, make the most money where you can, when you can. Now, I do believe that in some shape or form, that's definitely going to be happening. But as far as WWE being sold, let me tell you something. If WWE were to be sold and everything, I'm just not seeing it happen while Vince is alive. I got to be honest with you. For some weird reason, I'm just not seeing it happen while Vince is alive. I'm just not. I am seeing that go down under Triple H and Steph. That's just how I'm seeing it. I could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last, but that, my gut instinct, that's just the vibe that I'm getting, is that if it were to be sold, it's going to be long after Vince McMahon has passed. Didn't forget about that poll, by the way. Did ask you guys, what did you think about tonight's Raw? I asked you guys via Twitter and YouTube. It's amazing. I was getting ready to bring it up, and then somehow I went into a different direction. I see you on YouTube, and for those of you that have not voted yet, take your pick. You can vote by going to Twitter at the RCWR show, or hit up YouTube. Go on the communities tab there, and you can vote that way. If you got both, just pick one. YouTube, I'm seeing 50%. 50% of you gave it a thumbs up. 50% of you gave it a thumbs down. Totally understand that. Meanwhile, on Twitter, I am seeing interesting. Amongst RCWR followers, I'm seeing 67% gave it a thumbs up. 33% gave it a thumbs down. However, when we polled WWE's fans through the official social media account, 86% gave it a thumbs up, 14% gave it a thumbs down. Kind of interesting results right there. Interesting results right there. Also, as far as other little wrestling little tidbits we can get into. Actually, you know what? Let me take a pause there because I want to poke my head in the chats here. And I want to see how you guys are doing here with the show so far here. Seeing what's going on here. And because I love interacting with you guys. And I love the fact that we're now streaming on even more platforms. I'll tell you what the problem was. There was a hiccup because this is the first time. There was several months back where we had the show streaming on other outlets. And it was, okay, this is nice, but I was actually coming out of pocket for it, and I was actually paying a pretty penny for it, and it was, okay, let's pump the brakes on this, because this isn't fun. And, now, with how we're able to stream on the multiple platforms at the same time, now it's a case where I'm able to freaking do this, and I don't have to worry about paying money. So it's fucking awesome how we got this set up now. So I'm just poking my head and I'm just seeing what you guys are saying, if anything, on the different platforms here. Probably the only thing I haven't checked yet is I haven't checked Twitch yet. And I'm actually on Twitch right now as we speak, seeing what's going on here in Twitch. But I love that everybody is able to check out the show on all of these platforms. It's fucking awesome. And depending on how you're checking out the show, if you haven't done so already, make sure you're fucking hitting the follow, the like, and all that other good stuff. Helps more people check out the show with more ease, man. Definitely. All right, so as far as some other little wrestling tidbits we can get into, it's been relatively quiet. Honestly, there really hasn't been that much stuff that's been going on since last we were on the air. Some of the wrestling news that did come about, most of it we can talk about on the Wednesday show. But supposedly over the weekend, and this is per Dave Meltzer and crew, but apparently Jimmy Uso, I don't know how many of you guys had heard about this, but supposedly Jimmy Uso suffered a knee injury at WrestleMania, and that's going to be keeping him out of action for at least 6 to 9 months. Now, the people that originally had broke out this story, was among the first to break out this story, was the good folks at 411 Mania. But Dave Meltzer had revealed that the Usos' injury had caused changes to the ongoing tag team title storyline over on SmackDown. And it's believed that the Usos would have been involved, but since Jimmy was injured, they've been replaced. And it's believed that the knee surgery also led to the Forgotten Sons getting called up, and that the match at Money in the Bank will now be the New Day versus the Forgotten Sons versus Lucha House Party versus The Miz and John Morrison. So, take that for what it's worth and everything, but let's just say for the time being, this is pretty accurate. Take it to the bank and you can cash it. Unfortunate news there for Jimmy. And now it kind of makes a little bit of sense why we're seeing the Forgotten Sons, why they got the call up and everything. And we've kind of talked about them off and on for a couple of weeks. There's no reason for me to rehash anything. You guys know how I feel about the Forgotten Sons, but you know what? You see a chance, you take it. This is an opportunity, and first impressions mean everything. What are they going to be able to do? We'll see. I mean, is it off to a little bit of a rocky start right now? Yeah, it kind of is. I would definitely admit that, but you know what? If it's true, that sucks for the Usos. I hope that that length of time that he's going to be out, I hope that if he can come back a lot sooner, and definitely under the case where he's 100% healthy, then yeah, rock on. But if not, then man, that sucks. That's all I got to say. I mean, that really sucks. So speedy recovery is what I'm saying in a nutshell. Also, Leo Rush, interesting Leo Rush news. Leo Rush, he had took to Twitter, and I am hearing my girl playing Pac-Man. I'm most curious where she's. I think she's on the Xbox playing Pac-Man. I got to see what's going on with her now. But anyway, Leo Rush, he had took to Twitter earlier Monday. I was going to say today, but it's technically the beginning of Tuesday now. So good morning or afternoon, depends where you are. Good evening, wherever you are. But he took to social media to say that he might not ever wrestle again, saying, and I quote, "I legitimately might not ever wrestle again." Remember, he was released just a couple of weeks ago. He was part of those wide cuts, furloughs there that WWE had did and everything. And I'm sure that he is probably just going through the motions right now, and emotionally he is feeling I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but I hear the Pac-Man sound effects, and I know when my girl has lost a life because I'm hearing her say "damn," and so I gotta pick on her later. It's like, I heard you playing Pac-Man. I heard you cursing off your ass there. But no, seriously, getting back on track. With regards to Leo Rush, I wouldn't blame him if that's how he's feeling. I mean, come on, any one of us can be in that situation, even if you're not a pro wrestler. If you have essentially had employment dangled in your face, kind of taken away from you, but then kind of, okay, no, it's like this instead. We want you to come back. Things are going to be different this time around, and you keep getting that breathe and stop. You keep getting that type of treatment. If that's how he's feeling right now, I totally can understand that. I mean, look, it's nowhere near the level of what he was doing for the WWE, and just from a pro wrestling standpoint, but I can remember feeling just as disgust, if that's how he's feeling. I can remember feeling very disgusted with the way my job for 10 years in marketing research, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I felt very disgusted in how I was handled by them when, by text message. All of us that were not salary, all of us that were just hourly positions, we basically were given a text message that we all had been furloughed. And for a lot of us, we're team players. Hey, work's starting to get slow, and you're not going to have all of you come in, and all this, blah this, blah that. And for a lot of us, when we got furloughed, it was okay. So this is pretty much, we're working remote from home. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing. We're showing up for our shifts, showing up on time and everything. And this is how, what the fuck? And I just remember how, Tammy will tell you, I just remember feeling so disgusted. I just said, never again will I go in that line of work. Not ever again. Unless I'm my own boss, never again am I going to go in that type of industry. Like, if that's how they're rolling in that industry, no, fuck it, I'm done. 10 years is more than enough. It's like, yeah, I'm done. So, for Leo, just, honestly, and this is for real, just what I've seen of the young man from other promotions over the years, I know two things. One, he's a phenomenal wrestler. Two, he's a very talented rap artist. If I could give him some type of solid advice that legitimately, yeah, what would you do? What do you say? I would say to him, dude, just take a couple of months, 3, 4 months, just get lost in your music, enjoy yourself, enjoy your time with your family, your friends, make the best out of everything that's going on right now, and get lost in your music. And as far as wrestling goes, look at the good, look at the bad. As far as if you were to continue pursuing a wrestling career, look at the pros and cons of it. Make a list and go from there. And then once you've made that list and you've let 3, 4 months go by, come on back. And then, okay, now that I've had a little bit of time away and I've been focusing on all these other things, what's up with the pro wrestling right now? Is this something that I want to pursue? Or, because not for nothing, but making that statement, hey, obviously that's going to make a lot of people turn their heads and they're going to feel the way that they are going to feel and everything. But let's make sure we're homing in on this point and not miss this key point, which is, well, not for nothing, but right now, given everything that's going on, you don't exactly have a say in, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call these guys. I'm going to set up an interview and watch me go get hired by these guys over here at this wrestling promotion. Given everything that's going on right now with this pandemic, to make a statement, like that, I wish that as far as the fans that were interacting, because I did briefly see the amount of stuff that was coming his way, I didn't see one person say to him, well, not for nothing, bro, but this pandemic that's going on right now, this is, nobody's going to be hiring. So are you saying that even if things and when things do get better, that regardless, you think you're done? Just to kind of have him double down and everything. That's my thing you got to keep thinking of right now. It's like, it's not like you can go to another promotion right now. So, but no, my advice to him would just get lost in the family, friends, get lost in the music. He's a talented fucking rapper, no doubt about it. Talented as fuck. Just get lost in all of that. Make that little list I was talking about. Put that in a file cabinet, wherever. Come back to that 3, 4 months later, pretty much when things are back to normal. When we start having live crowds again and everything, come back to it then, and then decide, okay, do I still feel this way? And then if I still do feel this way, do I want to continue to be involved in pro wrestling? And then if I do want to continue to be involved in pro wrestling, all right, well then who do I want to work for? And this isn't the first time that we've heard a few wrestlers that have felt the way that they felt coming out of WWE. It's not the first time. Damn sure ain't going to be the last. And, it's funny because with regards to what Leo Rush had put out there, also Carl Anderson, he recently was pretty public about some things that was going on that he noticed in WWE and everything, but it was a series of posts on Twitter with Dolph Ziggler and Carl Anderson. He called out WWE for not doing enough to get talent over. And now, he may have been joking and everything, but one of the things that Carl Anderson had talked about, he said they'll conveniently leave out a lot of things that'll get you more over. And he had this exchange with Dolph Ziggler and everything. And what was really cool about this was at one point somehow Ryback gets in there, and God, it was weird because Ryback mentioned something involving CM Punk, and it seemed like a harmless little, I don't think he was shitting on Ziggler in any type of way, but Ziggler just came right back and he pulled up a fucking image of Ryback when he was, God, I can't even remember the name of that fucking character now, but the original gimmick he had, God, I almost want to call him Shemp. Like he's fucking Three Stooges, but the gimmick where he had the stupid little small cowboy hat on or whatever, he fucking pulled that up, and it was just the weirdest exchange that I saw involving Ryback, Ziggler, and just everybody that was tagged in it and everything. And it was just, okay, I'm just going to leave that alone, because my whole thing is if it's not filled with positivity in some shape or form, I don't really want to have anything to do with it. So I just kind of let that be. Hey, real quick, this weekend, after Money in the Bank goes off the air, they're going to be airing part 1 of The Undertaker's Last Ride. So make sure you guys peep that out. Of course, try to peep that out after you get done checking out the Money in the Bank post show, because yeah, that you want to check out our Money in the Bank post show first before you scoop on that little thing there. Speaking of Money in the Bank, let's get into some Money in the Bank, and then after we get done talking about Money in the Bank, we'll definitely talk about Michael Jordan's The Last Dance episode 5 and 6. Looking forward to talking about those joints with you all. All right, so we got Money in the Bank that's going to be coming up this Sunday, and looking at the card right now here for this event, looking pretty good so far here. Again, it's going to be coming to us from Stamford, Connecticut this Sunday, May the 10th. All right, so we got New Day, Big E, Kofi Kingston taking on The Miz, John Morrison taking on the Forgotten Sons, taking on Lucha House Party. Fatal 4-way tag match for the SmackDown tag titles. I'm gonna go with New Day. I'm gonna go with New Day. I was eyeballing the Forgotten Sons just to try to give them some type of buzz, create a little something, but maybe at the next pay-per-view. Should be a good tag matchup, though. Should be a good Fatal 4-way, but I'm looking at New Day. Could you just imagine for a second if the tag titles went to Miz and John Morrison? Can you just imagine the narrative coming out of that? The narrative coming out of that would be, well, wait a minute. Why did these guys lose the tag titles in the first place then, if at the very next pay-per-view they were going to get the tag titles right back? How does that make sense? So, I'm going to say New Day retains. Bayley takes on Tamina, singles match for the Women's Championship. Any other time, I would probably say Tamina. I'm happy to see my girl back. I love me some Tamina. I do. She's a cute little thick thing. I love them thick, man. I love them thick. She's a cute little thick thing. I'm not seeing Tamina. Should be a good match, but I'm not seeing Tamina come out of there on top. I've got now. I wonder how much of a factor Sasha Banks is going to play in this one? I wonder, because remember the narrative there when it came to WrestleMania, Sasha helped out there, and that was essentially why Bayley retained the title. So I'm setting this up, and I want to continue to paint that narrative of, well, Bayley, not for nothing, but the only reason why you're still holding on to that women's championship title is because Sasha Banks, in some shape or form, has helped you out. And if it wasn't for her, you'd have lost it probably as early as Mania. And you eventually want to push that narrative where Sasha and Bayley go at it for the title, then yeah, Sasha Banks, you got to have her run some type of cameo / interference in this one. Got to do that. Bayley for the retain. Braun Strowman takes on... Actually, let's come back to that one because that's for one of the main belts. Let's go to the next one. Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio versus Aleister Black versus King Corbin versus Otis versus AJ Styles. Money in the Bank ladder match for a world championship match contract. So the main thing we got to remember from this one is whoever wins this Money in the Bank briefcase, they can pretty much go on both shows and tease the hell out of whoever the champion is. Hey man, might not be today, might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, might not be this month, might not be next month, but I got a whole year. I'ma get you. Or won't I? So, Rey Mysterio, no. Not seeing Rey Mysterio. Under different circumstances, Daniel Bryan, held to the yeah. I'm not seeing Daniel Bryan. I'm not seeing Otis. So that leaves us with Aleister Black, King Corbin, AJ Styles. Excuse me. Well, not for nothing. Where the fuck is Elias? I gotta have Elias run some type of interference in here because he owes King Corbin a receipt for the ass whooping that he had took on SmackDown. What was that? Was it 2 weeks ago, guys? 2 weeks ago? So he owes him a receipt for that one. So I see King Corbin, take him out of the equation because you got to. If you're not going to have Elias run a cameo in here just to try to extract revenge on King Corbin. So take King Corbin out. So now that leaves Aleister Black and AJ Styles. I am going to say, oh man, that is an interesting one. Because on the one hand, if you have AJ Styles as the Money in the Bank winner, you've got a really cool kick-ass main antagonist going on both shows, teasing Braun, teasing Drew. It's kind of badass. But then Aleister Black, for some people, Aleister Black, Braun Strowman has been a dream matchup, believe it or not. So Aleister Black, Drew McIntyre. This is interesting. This is interesting because those are the two names I'm homing in on right now. AJ Styles, Aleister Black. AJ Styles is screaming out to me more for not just the Boneyard match, but just the backseat that he's taken for all of these fucking months. And then not for nothing, but Gallows, Anderson, they're out of there and everything. Man, I just kind of feel like AJ Styles should be tossed a bone right now. This is tricky, guys. I gotta tell you, this is damn fucking tricky. But you want to pay it forward, and you want to let it be about, hey, yeah, you know what? Especially given what Vince McMahon was talking about in that conference meeting, when he was doing the quarterly reports there, he was talking about how, biggest problem that we're having is really establishing these newer guys that we got on our roster. Well, if you really want to establish somebody, as cool as it would be to see AJ Styles get it, I really think you need to let this be about Aleister Black. So I'm going to go with Aleister Black. Would I be surprised if AJ Styles gets it? I actually kind of would, because he doesn't need it. He could be in the main event picture at any time. So, yeah, I'm going to say Aleister Black. That's fine. Aleister Black. All right, let's go with the women's Money in the Bank. Asuka taking on Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, Carmella. Money in the Bank ladder match for a women's championship contract match. All right, let's see here. Let's see how this goes. Dana Brooke, take her out off the break. Not seeing that. Lacey Evans, no. Carmella, no. So that leaves us with Nia, Shayna, Asuka. You gave Shayna her first defeat on the main roster, courtesy of Becky Lynch. You got to put her right back into the mix of the things. I personally feel this feels like it has Shayna Baszler written all over it, does it not? I mean, it feels like a no-brainer. You got to go with Baszler, but I'm just looking here. I'm not seeing Asuka, so that leaves Shayna and Nia Jax. I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler. That's final. Shayna Baszler. All right, let's go to our two main event title matches here. Braun Strowman defends the Universal title against Braun Strowman. Interesting. Ooh, daddy, that's a tricky one, ain't it? That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. That is a tricky... Braun. I'm going to go with Braun. I'm going to say Braun, but the feud feels like it's going to continue between he and Bray Wyatt. But, if you're also kind of looking a little bit further down the road, as far as, okay, well, who can step in as a main antagonist other than Bray Wyatt? Maybe eventually you can have Brock feud with Braun in order to help Braun get over even more. Well, for this encounter coming up Sunday, I'm going to go with Braun. I'm going to go with Braun. I think that leaves us with one match, yeah? Drew McIntyre taking on Seth Rollins for the WWE champion. Drew's got that. Drew's got that. I see no reason why Rollins would. Nah, we need to get as far away from the Monday Night Messiah as possible. I'm not seeing McIntyre drop that. By the way, it was my first time really seeing him with that title since Mania. And I enjoyed seeing him come out tonight. I mean, that title, he just looks like $1 million fucking dollars. He looks like a legit fucking badass, with that title around him and everything. He feels like a fucking champion. Liking it so far. All right, let's recap. New Day, I got retaining the SmackDown tag titles. Bayley, I got retaining the SmackDown title. Strowman, I got retaining the Universal Championship. McIntyre, I have retaining his WWE Championship. Aleister Black becoming your new Mr. Money in the Bank, and Shayna Baszler becoming your new Mrs. Money in the Bank. Now, Let me just look at those other matches for a second with those titles, just to see if, maybe there might be a swerve somewhere here. I'm not seeing a swerve for the WWE Championship. I'm not seeing a swerve. There could be a swerve for that Universal Championship. There could be a swerve. Bray could get it. If I'm going to put an asterisk by a match and say there could be a swerve, it would be Strowman Wyatt. Otherwise, the other matches... My girl actually turned on the Xbox. I can hear the sound effects now. My girl actually turned on the Xbox and she's playing. I know you know what? I bet you she's playing that new Pac-Man game. There's some new Pac-Man game I downloaded in the fucking marketplace. It looks like Pac-Man on crack. I mean, the graphics are just what the fuck. And I remember downloading it. And I know she's playing that. Yeah, that's the only match I'm gonna put an asterisk by though, and that's final. The other ones, I'm not seeing a swerve in any type of way. So that's how I'm looking at it for Sunday's Money in the Bank. So we'll see what happens with that one. Hopefully we all are going to be doing another pool thing again like we normally do, where all of us veteran podcasts get together and we give our picks. And I was so close with Mania. I think I was off by like one. It's like, man, I could have had it, almost had it there. So I'm pretty confident that this go round, I think I'm going to be coming out of this bad boy. I hope I come out of this bad boy undefeated, honestly. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. All right. Let's see. Anything else I want to get into here? Just kind of looking here. By the way, on a more serious note, I had interacted with her just briefly. I do want to offer my thoughts, prayers, condolences, but most importantly, resolution is what I really want to offer. And I'm going to pull this up here for you guys. If I can just find her here. Hang on a second here. I want to offer my thoughts to the sister, and I want to pull up this article for you guys here. Let's see if I can find this fucking article. Bear with me a second here, guys. Yeah, I want to offer my thoughts, prayers, condolences, but most importantly, resolution to the sister and the family of a security guard that lost their life at a Flint, Michigan Family Dollar store, apparently over the weekend, as this security guard was shot and killed after telling a customer that they had to wear their state mandated face mask. And I wish I was pulling you guys' leg, but this is a legit story. If you did not hear about this, let me just kind of get you caught up to speed a little bit. 3 family members have been charged in the killing of a security guard who told a customer at a Michigan Family Dollar store to wear a state-mandated face mask. Officials said on Monday. Calvin Manerlin, age 43, he died at a Flint hospital after he was shot in the head. Friday, said Michigan State Police Lieutenant David Kaiser. Ramonia Travin Bishop, 23, Larry Edward Teague, 44, and Charmel Lash Teague, 45, have been charged with first-degree premeditated murder along with other charges. I mean, this is just, okay, so basically, Manerlin got into a verbal altercation with Charmel Teague after telling Teague's daughter she needed a mask. According to the prosecutor's office, surveillance video confirms the incident. Charmel Teague's daughter left the store, but Teague began yelling at Manurlin, who then told her to leave the store and instructed a cashier not to serve her, the prosecutor said. So there's also footage. Footage shows that immediately after the altercation, the woman left in an SUV. But about 20 minutes later, the SUV returned. Yet two men, identified as Bishop and Larry Teague, entered the store. According to the statement, one of them yelled at Manurlin about disrespecting his wife. The other man, later identified as Bishop, then allegedly shot the security guard. I mean, just really stop and think about that for a second. You know, here's a security guard, and look, I know a thing about security. You longtime listeners know I had dipped in that form of law enforcement, you know, off and on for about 10 years. I've been my last stint was about 3 years ago, and I decided I'm good, I'm done. There's a lot of immature fucking kids that's working it nowadays and everything. I mean, just really stop and think about that for a second. Security guards, they're not really getting paid that good of money as it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's good money in security. That is if you decide, okay, I want to go for a SPO license. You go for your SPO license, special police officer, you go for that. You're allowed, depending on the site, you're allowed to carry firearms. You're allowed to wear handcuffs. You can actually make arrests and all that. And even if you were to get your SPO license, it doesn't guarantee that the site that you're working at is going to pay you the SPO money. Normally when you're trying to go for a SPO license, you're mainly trying to go for that SPO license so that you're working at a site that requires either military or SPO, and that's how you essentially get the money that way. For sure, if you have an SPO license and you're trying to find some type of government building that you can work at, for sure those definitely pay the money and everything. But just a regular unarmed security guard, the money is really not that good. It's not that good. So, here's this guy serving his community, trying to earn his living, trying to support himself and his family, trying to pay it forward. As I always like to say, pay it forward, always forward. Doing his job, telling somebody basically for their health, for the sake of their family, hey, you gotta wear a mask. You gotta wear a mask. Just even if you're feeling healthy, you ain't got nothing. You don't know what these other people got. So better to be safe than sorry. Make sure you wear your mask. And for this person to come back, have an attitude problem, tell their significant other or whatever. What's up, Gino? Tell their significant other or whatever, and everything ends with this security guard losing their life. Man, that's some fucked up shit. That is some fucked up hardcore shit. And I can tell you, working the new job that I've been working in for the past couple of weeks, and just from my encounters, and because when I get off work, I usually say to the missus, hey, I'm hungry, let's go to 7-Eleven, or, let's go here, let's go there. Sometimes I'll forget to take my bandana and put it up over my face and everything. Sometimes I'll have it, still under, my chin and everything. And when I come into an establishment, I'll usually have the cashier, he'll say, hey, put your mask up. It's like, oh, okay, sorry about that. You're like, no problem, just put your mask up. Like, okay. Put my mask up. Or other times, somebody will be outside and they're literally counting how many people are going into the store and everything. Hey, excuse me, sir, I'm sorry, I can't let you inside unless you wear your mask. You got to put your mask on. It's like, oh, sorry about that. Put my mask on, and that's it. So, that for me to hear that somebody lost their life because they were just doing their job, and they were just trying to make sure that somebody was wearing their mask. You know, if these people were not, thank you for the compliment, Gino. I appreciate that. Gino saying, like your shirt, you seem to always have the best shirts on. Yeah. There's usually a nice running theme, a gag or something. I appreciate the kind words, Gino. Thank you, my friend. I hope you've been well, man. And everybody else. I hope everybody else has been good tonight so far. That's just a sad thing to hear. I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer, but when I saw that report earlier today, I just couldn't help but say, wow, are you kidding me? This is the point that we've gotten to in society. I didn't know which was more worse. I didn't know if this story was as worse as it's gotten, or the worst thing I've heard so far during this whole outbreak, or the story in California where there was a guy wearing a Ku Klux Klan hood in a grocery store, just buying groceries with his Supreme Power hoodie on. I didn't know which was worse. I had to think about it, like, because it's both just, wow, that's totally fucked up. Like, totally fucked up on so many levels. And whether, going back to the people that did what they did to the security guard, whether they were strung out on drugs or whatever the case may be, there's just no excuse. There's just no excuse. Now, and I was kind of interacting with John Draper about this earlier, and shout out to John, but I said, I shouldn't, it's going to sound fucked up, but I told him, I said, I really shouldn't say I'm surprised that something like this would happen, at a Family Dollar, of all places, at a Family Dollar. Because when you think about the Family Dollar stores, I mean, not for nothing, but you look, I'm going to give it to you right between the eyes. I ain't going to sugarcoat it, okay? I'm going to give it to you right between the eyes. Maybe it's different in you all's neighborhood, depending on your part of the world, but every single time I've seen a Family Dollar store or a Dollar Tree, rare do I see them in a nice middle income and up neighborhood. For the most part, I see these Dollar Trees, out of 100%, I would say 90% of the time, I see these Dollar Trees, I see these Family Dollar stores in low income neighborhoods. Now ask yourselves, why is that? Why are these Dollar Trees and dollar stores in these low income neighborhoods? They're in these low income neighborhoods because they are low income neighborhoods. These people that live in these neighborhoods, they are sadly on welfare. They are getting their food stamps, EBT card, whatever they're calling it now. It's still food stamps. They're collecting food stamps. They're getting Section 8 housing. They are maybe living in low income housing, so they're getting help from the government, and so they are not as fortunate as some of us that's in mid low or mid income and higher, and up and everything. They are not in a position where, okay, no, we can go to Harris Teeter. No, we can go to Trader Joe's, or we can go to, for some of these people that live in these neighborhoods that they live in, there's no Giant or Shoppers, Jewels, or, there's no major chain grocery store that's right around the corner from them where they can buy the essentials that they need to be buying. But then, even if there is a store that can't supply them with everything that they need, then it becomes, okay, well, do they really want to go out of their way to go to that store? And sadly, with these Dollar Trees and these family stores, these Family Dollar stores, come on. And if you haven't walked in there, I mean, typically you go in there, very rare will you see essentials that's in those stores. And when I say essentials, very rare will you see milk, will you see bread, will you see produce. Very rare will you see that. You go in there and typically any soda you could fucking think of, that's there. Any candy that you can think of, that's there. Any chips that you can think of, that's there. You need a pick, you need a brush, that's there. You need some hair grease, that shit's there. You need rubber bands for your hair or whatever, that shit's there. Once in a blue moon, you may see, TV dinners, typically banquet. You're not getting truly all of your nutrients, your proteins and everything. That's a lot of processed food. Everything that I just talked about, candy bars, all that, a lot of processed shit that's there. Very seldom will you come across a Dollar Tree or a Family Dollar that has, hey, I need the essentials. I need bread, milk, cheese. Very rare will you see that. So it's anytime you see a Family Dollar or a Dollar Tree, it's basically a product / representation of what's happening in that entire in its surroundings, basically. And so, but still, to hear something like this happen, you're going, man. Everybody is just trying to do what they can with what they have, with the little that they have, and they're just trying to get by, and everybody's just trying to keep to themselves, and for that to happen, I hope those 6 sons of bitches get everything that's coming to them, and then some. But my thoughts and prayers definitely go out to that family, because that was just the saddest thing I had read today to jumpstart my week. I got to tell you. Now, of course, we're not going to end the show on such a low Debbie Downer. I do want to lift y'all spirits up a little bit, and we'll end it on this. Now, I told you guys, it really wasn't that much that's been going on since last we were on the air here. But one last thing I do want to get into: Michael Jordan's The Last Dance, episode 5 and 6. And I gotta tell you, man, as we're getting closer to the end of this great 10-part miniseries, man, just each episode, just setting it up for the next episode. It's been a great ride, just watching all of these episodes and then seeing what people are saying in real time between the commercial breaks and all of that. And of course, if you're watching The Last Dance, I'm there watching it in real time. As long as you got the Twitter at the RCWR show, I don't mind going back and forth, because I'm usually spitting out random thoughts on what I'm seeing. The episodes this week, for one, to see the new footage with Kobe and him candidly talking about Michael Jordan, and then to see that young Michael Jordan that was first playing against Kobe and was saying that young little Laker, he just want to play one-on-one. He just want to go up on everybody. I just love how all of that had played out, and how Jordan saw way back then that, man, this dude Kobe, he reminds me a lot like how I was when I first came into the league. And if there was one thing that, I've always known over the years, but to see it really be highlighted during this episode, to know that Michael Jordan is just one of those type of individuals. If you wrong him just one time, that's it. And there is just a very intimate and small, tight-knit group that he allows to be part of his circle, friends and everything. And I can tell you from back in the day, Ahmad Rashad, Ahmad Rashad always seemed to have the access to Michael Jordan. Always seemed to have the access to Michael. And you could legitimately tell that the two of them were the best of friends. You could legitimately feel their friendship. And if ever there was a time where Michael Jordan, okay, I need to get something off my chest, I need it to be done in a way where it's not only professional, but I come out looking good, but it's the truth. My words ain't going to be misconstrued in any type of way. It's not going to be misinterpreted. Ahmad Rashad was, and I hope you guys have been kind of picking that up throughout the series, Ahmad Rashad was always Michael Jordan's go-to. Always. Not bad for a guy that used to play for the Minnesota Vikings as a wide receiver, Pro Football Hall of Famer. What a great transition that Ahmad Rashad was able to make, being a football player and then going into being one of the all-time best sports analysts slash reporters. And that's something that I feel really does not get talked about enough. And hopefully when this documentary hits DVD, hopefully there's a special features section that's dedicated to Ahmad Rashad where they can go over his career and everything, because yeah, y'all need to hip yourselves that's younger and you just now coming on board the Last Dance, just now discovering Michael Jordan and everything. Ahmad Rashad, I mean Ahmad Rashad back in the day, Ahmad Rashad was kind of like the black Bob Costas slash Walter Cronkite. You know, he was kind of like, that's the best way. He's almost like the Gene Okerlund, but for basketball and just everything else. But basketball was his main rapport there, man. He's just, especially the basketball, man. He knew his shit. But to see that new interview with Kobe, obviously this was filmed right before his death. It just broke my heart. I was happy. I was sad. I was angry. I was angry because Kobe's not with us anymore. There's so many mixed emotions that was going on, but I had the biggest smile on my face in seeing Kobe. I was quite surprised. I was quite surprised because I was not expecting Kobe to appear in there. And for Kobe to address that one part where he gets asked all the time, "Hey man, who you think would win a one-on-one between you and Michael Jordan? Hey, remember that one time you put the hurting on Michael?" And Kobe basically, hey, pump the brakes. Hey, nah, man, I'm not even going there, because I wouldn't have the 5 championships that I have right now and everything else that's come in my career if it wasn't for Mike. Mike took me under his wing like an older brother, and everything that I am, I owe to him. And we really didn't learn the true connection, the deep connection that these two men had, really not until Kobe's funeral. And we see Michael Jordan for the first time, in his life, in his fucking life. We didn't really know about fucking the extent of their relationship until that funeral. And we see for the very first time in Michael Jordan's career, him putting his heart out there. One of the rarest times that we see Michael Jordan, not the basketball player, but the human being. One of the rarest times that we see him, he let that armor down. And we see him so emotional about the passing of someone that he looked at as a young little brother. Man, that was one of my biggest takeaways from what we got with The Last Dance over the weekend, was just how deep of a connection, kinship, the brotherhood, that all really had jumped out to me the most. But then, the other thing that jumped out to me the most as well was the gambling. I mean, I always knew that Michael Jordan was having issues with the gambling. I always knew about that, but what I didn't know was the shit with Slim Boulder. I didn't know. I mean, $57,000. $57,000 for a goddamn golf game. And then it turns out this Slim Boulder, whatever fuck Slim, it turns out this dude is one bad hombre. And you're like, man, damn, Mike, you're not having your people check these other people out that you're getting ready to play with. You're not having them check things out beforehand, or you just don't give a fuck. Like what the hell? You got that shit, and then the guy that would eventually write that book about his interactions with Michael Jordan and everything, and that little bit of stuff I did not know, but I always knew that Michael Jordan was a gambler. I always knew he was a competitive type of gambler. So there wasn't really anything new, but the one thing that did make me raise an eyebrow a little bit was the fact that with regards to Michael Jordan going through that first three-peat, and then, okay, you know what, I think I'm done with baseball. Yes, gambling had a lot to do with, and I wouldn't be surprised if, quietly, David Stern, Jerry Reinsdorf, I wouldn't be surprised if they said to him, look, now more than ever, you really need to just take time away from the game, and you just need to do a little bit of soul searching and just recharge your batteries for a little bit. Go do some other stuff, take this sabbatical, and everything's good. But and I can't wait to see the next episode, because I know the next episode is going to deal with the untimely passing of his dad. And I really hope that all the controversies that has surrounded the circumstances surrounding his father's death, I really hope Michael and just the other family members, I really hope that they all take that moment to talk about it, because here's the thing that, and I was watching all the sports shows making their rounds, talking about episodes 5 and 6, and only Skip Bayless, as far as I know, from what I've seen, I haven't seen all of them, but the decent amount that I did see, only Skip Bayless was the one guy that brought up the one equation that was probably also a factor in Jordan taking the hiatus there for those couple of years, which I've always known about. And matter of fact, one of my last appearances on Wrestling Soup with Mish and Joey, I talked about that whole controversy and everything, because there was some stupid WWE list that was brought up and everything. But when Jordan's father was tragically killed, I mean, for those of you that don't really know and I know they're going to get into it on the next episode, I think the way they set it up was pretty good, how they did it. But for those of you that don't know, so Jordan's father had got this Lexus, nice pretty ass red Lexus, and the license plate was very unique. It was basically incorporated Jordan's jersey number and everything. And so the story is that Jordan Sr. was coming from a funeral, and he decided he was going to pull over to the side of the road. He was going to catch up on a little bit of rest. These two young punks, they had been following his car because they recognized it, and they, oh man, that's Jordan's dad car, yeah, because blah, 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 blah. We'll follow it. So once Jordan's dad pulled off to the side of the road, dozed off for a little bit, these two punk asses, they come, they fucking rob the dad, kill him right there in the car. Now, and I remember when that shit went down in real time, and this is the thing that y'all gotta realize, is this went down July, I don't know the exact date, but it went down July of 1993. So this was just a couple of weeks after the Bulls did their three-peat, the first three-peat. And then this shit went down. And I just remember in real time, watching the news, I mean, it was scary as fuck. It was coming breaking news and all this shit. I mean, it was the main headline for like the next couple of days and shit. At least the next 3 days or whatever. And the manhunt was on to try to find the people that did what they did to his dad. So whatever was going on with Michael's compulsion of gambling, his, that whole competitiveness and all that, I do personally feel 2 cents from a distance that it did get quite out of hand. But here's the other thing that I vividly remember, especially way back then and everything. I remember how Michael's parents, especially his dad, was at a lot of the games. There was a lot of the games where he was usually courtside. And so, can you just imagine that, be it as it may, whatever problems you might have been having with the gambling, can you just imagine that, okay, now you no longer have your dad. Do you really even want to entertain the idea of doing these basketball games, knowing that your dad was going to a lot of these games? Now when you look up in the usual section or whatever, your dad's no longer there. And you gotta, okay, so understand that's one of the main reasons why. I mean, yeah, he was already feeling the way he was feeling with how the media had did him, making a big deal out of the gambling and everything, but, and that's how the media is always, they get something that they think is juicy and sensational, they're gonna blast the hell out of it and everything. But so gambling, losing his dad, yeah, the last thing he probably wanted to do was put on a basketball jersey and pick up a basketball. And so ultimately he goes and does the baseball. And not to mention, that was kind of a lifelong dream of his dad. So he was kind of fulfilling that to a degree. But eventually, he gets the itch, as we all know, and he comes on back and everything. And of course, legend has it that the story, now I've talked about this off and on over the years, but the story is that Jordan had a outstanding gambling debt, and whatever was going on, nickel and diamond, whatever, didn't pay it off, pissed off the wrong people, somehow kind of connected to the mafia or whatever, some gangsters, and supposedly Jordan's dad being taken out was in retaliation. There was another story, another legendary story that was going around. You remember during that episode how you guys heard that, oh, well, me and my dad, we just went to Atlanta. We went to the casinos. Well, another story has it that the dad was always going to the casinos, and the dad was always, gambling and everything. Another story has it that the dad owed some serious money. He tried to go to Mike. Mike kind of put his foot down and was like, nah, you gotta figure this out yourself. And Michael's dad wasn't able to take care of that debt, and so but there's a lot of shit that's going on with that. So I am most fascinated to see how much of what all we've heard over the years is going to be tackled, with regards to the mafia, gangsters, whatever. I'm very curious to see how all that's going to play out, if it's going to be addressed at all. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm looking for the tell me something that I don't know. That's what I'm going to be looking for out of the next episodes. But it was a weird period to see Michael Jordan, having lived through it. It was a weird period to see him bow out of basketball. It really, really was. Yeah, you had the commercials running around. Y'all saw the commercials, the Gatorade like Mike, if I could be like Mike and shit. It was really weird seeing this man. I think at that point he was only 30, 31, and he's in his prime. He's in his basketball prime. And he walks away. It's like, nah, man, you just won all these championships. Nah, keep at it, do it some more. And I can tell you, it was the weirdest thing to see going on with him, because it was don't understand, why. And then, once I kind of understood a little bit more of the backstory, and at that point, it was just, okay, all right, his dad died, and, this is kind of his way of mourning, and, kind of just, decompressing from basketball and everything. And, okay, for me, even though, by this point, I was like probably 12. I was 12 going on 13 when he lost his dad. So I hear about everything that's going on, and then eventually a little bit more time passes. Here he goes into baseball. For me, as young as I was, one of the first things I said to myself was, yeah, he went through a lot of shit. He needs a break, and this is kind of how he's taking that break. He'll be back. I said that at the age of 12. I said he'll be back. He will be back. For me, it's just watching enough of his games, just that whole competitive spirit and everything. I said way back then, I said he'll be back. And some of my friends in school, they believed it as well. They believed that he was going to be back as well. We thought he would be back a lot sooner than later. We didn't think it was going to be a couple of years. But, boy, I tell you what, we were happy when he did come back. Oh, man. I tell you what, we were damn happy when he came back. I'm trying to think if there was anything else from the 2 episodes that kind of stood out to me the most as well. Not much, really. I mean, the hatred for Isaiah Thomas. I mean, man, you couldn't cut that any deeper with a knife, man. I mean, shit. That was just, on so many levels. But to hear of his competitive spirit, just how competitive he was, watching guys that might have been playing a hand on the bus for $1 or $2, and here he is in the back of the bus. He's with the heavy rollers, spending a couple of grand or whatever, and he's dropping it like it ain't fucking nothing because he's Michael fucking Jordan. But he's coming up front, and he actually wants to play with the guys that's only betting $1 or $2. You go fucking crazy to just hear just how competitive he is. Right down to the point you see him messing around with the United States Arena security, $20, $30, $40, $50 and throwing fucking quarters and shit, trying to see, who can throw it the farthest or whatever. For me, I always knew he was competitive, but to know that he was just that freakish competitive was just, whoa. I didn't know that. That was just insane for me. Insane for me. But yeah, it was good what they did this past weekend. It was really good what they did this weekend. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that kind of jumped out to me the most. That kind of had me very, wow. That was pretty crazy. There's really nothing else. I'm just kind of playing it in my mind. There's really nothing else. Going through the whole Dream Team thing. Tony Kukoc getting the ass whooping. Because I remember watching all of that when it initially went down and everything. None of that surprised me. If anything, hearing the fun story that Magic Johnson had told when they were doing shoot around and what was it, 3-on-3 or however they did it, and Michael was getting picked on by Magic, saying, hey man, if you don't turn in the Air Jordan, not only is this game gonna be in the books and you're gonna lose, but come on now, what you gonna do when we get ready to do the real thing? And he just fucking turned it on and whooped their fucking ass. Clyde Drexler, I mean, he put the hurting on that boy, man. I'm telling you, he put the hurting on that man. So fun, just walking down memory lanes. Just almost felt as though, as I was watching those episodes last night, it feels like it was almost yesterday. I was like, wow, I just immediately went back to that young kid, and I was like, I remember that. Yep. What's really got me going, though, is the fact that we got the young people that have never heard a lot of the music that they've been hearing so far, during this miniseries, especially last night, they're playing Nas's "If I Rule the World." They're playing fucking Outkast's little Rosa Parks song and everything. You know, you got people that are like, "Oh my god, this is," you know, they're acting like that time Justin Timberlake's had got cornrows, and Justin Timberlake acted like, y'all remember back when he was in what was it, NSYNC he was with? I think it was NSYNC. Whatever band it was he was with, and I'll never forget. He was on the red carpet, blondish fucking cornrows, and there was somebody that was interviewing him. It was a girl, and she was going, "Oh, you know, I love what you did with your hair." And Justin Timberlake had acted as if he had discovered something entirely new. Like he discovered some type of a new dish, and he couldn't wait to tell everybody about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, you know, this was before the first Justin Timberlake album and all of that other shit." And he goes, "Oh yeah, you know, it's something called cornrows," and I'm just like, brother, this been out for decades. Like you ain't discovered nothing new, my man. But you know, it was crazy just going down memory lane and just seeing all of that shit. You know, once again, yeah, it just felt, yeah, I remember this, I remember this, I remember that. It's like vividly, just yeah, I remember all of those fucking things. But to hear the music, yeah, they've been doing a good job scoring this fucking documentary. But to see the people just like, okay, I don't get this. If you say that you're into all things hip hop, how did you not at some point discover Outkast or discover Nas or B.I.G. or A Tribe Called Quest, like Redman, like you know, how did you not fucking, where you know, what's going on? Where you been? I mean, I just couldn't help but say that. You know, like if you love all things R&B and hip hop, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like look, I'm not passing judgment on anybody, right? I mean, my forte is mainly jazz, especially classical jazz, instrumental jazz, rock, metal, man. But even I dip very deep into the hip hop and R&B. Even I dig in deep on that shit, you know. And like this new, it just really shows you with this new up and coming generation that's out there, you know, how little that they know. And it's, yeah, man, it's like if you enjoyed a lot of that music that you've been hearing so far on The Last Dance, you really owe it to yourself to, you know, really go into the archives there, and you're missing out on some really, really fucking good shit. You really are. Really are. You're missing out on some good shit. I can't wait for this thing, though, to hit fucking DVD. You know it is. They gotta capitalize. They gotta capitalize on it. And hopefully there's gonna be a soundtrack as well. I will buy that fucking soundtrack. I don't give a fuck. I will buy that. But we got 2 more Sundays, guys. We got episode, what is it? They're gonna do episode 7 and 8 this coming Sunday, and then the following Sunday 9 and 10. And then that's pretty much gonna be it. I hope that the Today Show, mainly because I'm a big fan of Craig Melvin, and we actually used to have Craig Melvin out here for the longest time in DC. Him and his now wife, Lindsay Zarniak. We used to have both of them on NBC Washington News 4, News 4 affiliate station. And they still come out here from time to time, do a little special reporting and all that. But hopefully when this documentary is over, hopefully my man Craig Melvin will be one of the first, if not the first, to have an interview with Michael, because I'm very curious how Michael has been, you know, taking in what all has been about on social media with regards to this documentary series and everything. I'd love to hear his thoughts, and you know, now that everything has been put out there, you know, what has he say now and everything? Any final word he want to put out there to the fans and everything? Hopefully Craig Melvin gets it, because Craig Melvin is pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good at what he's able to do when he's interviewing and everything. But other than that, nothing else really get into for this week, man. I mean, this is pretty much, we can stick a fork in it. We can call this show DONE done. So let's see how we did here. I'm looking at the recorder. Wow, so we did about 2 hours and about 15 minutes. That's pretty good. I will definitely take that. I love that. I will fucking take that. All right, so at this point, your next edition of the RCWR show, that's going to be dropping Wednesday night, May the 6th. We'll be coming on at 11 p.m. Eastern after NXT and AEW goes off the air. There's loads more wrestling stuff, news-wise, we'll be able to get into. I didn't want to get into it tonight because it's non-WWE related. So I figure, Wednesday show, that's what we got the Wednesday show for. But meantime, you can be kind, rewind. You can check out previous episodes you may have missed on demand and on the downloads. I won't be editing the audio version of this episode until Tuesday night after I get in from work. So enjoy this version of the webcast version that you're seeing right now. Enjoy it for now. It will tie you over till then. If you're new, welcome. Make sure if you haven't done so already, you subscribe. Follow me all throughout social media, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And hopefully you appreciated the fact that we were streaming this on multiple outlets. Like I said, we were streaming this tonight on Twitch. We're streaming this on YouTube. Also streaming it on Facebook. Next week, we'll have this also streaming on Mixer as well. So it's nice that, we're streaming on, more outlets at the same time on a regular basis, growing the base of our fans even more. Hopefully that chat, that unified chat, hopefully that will be fixed by the next time we come on the air as well. I may have to actually get in contact with support and find out what exactly is going on with that unified chat. Maybe that's something I need to do at my end or what. I'm not really sure. But yeah, man, you enjoyed, spread the word. That's all I gotta say. Keep spreading the word. Subscribe for more good content. All right, that is going to do it. I'm wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will definitely see you guys in just a little bit this Wednesday night. So y'all do take care.